All right, here we go, and welcome back, fastest freaking show in NFL. Absolutely, anyway, with your boy, yo. Follow me up on Twitter at John Legaza. Flow sharper than a damn razor. Sorry, juggling some balls. We got this draft is about to start hot and heavy. There is nothing faster than this best ball lobby over at Underdog. Let me just set up this little share going on, and we'll be off to the races. Man, best ball is like the best. It really is the best. If you're like me and you're really freaking busy and stuff, you jump right in these things. It's completely fair. No one can outwork you because you were doing stuff and they weren't. You kind of get what you get and you don't get upset. Computer does all the automated scoring, and away we go in about 10 seconds. I got the wheel pick. Let's freaking go. Love the wheel pick, especially when doing the content. It gives me a little bit of break. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff. I've also got some fantasy football tools. Maybe at the end we'll show some of them off if you sign up to the Substack. Like I said, hop over to the Twitter. It'll bring you over there, and you can see everything we got. Uploadable, color-coded, best ball ranks with, some critical stats on the page. Though I would say the speed that these best ball drafts move, Underdog now down to just 20 seconds on the clock. Man, there is very little time for research. You better keep your eye on that queue, keep it full, especially at the end. I tend to like it. I want to think fast, move fast, and hopefully force some, errors, you know what I mean? I mean, that's really what we're hoping for at the end of the day, First round, kind of looking like maybe what you'd expect. I wonder if I could blow this up one more and still fit everybody. Oh, yes, we can. Got to believe in yourself. Me, the old, still figuring out how to do this freaking YouTube thing. If you're into baseball, we're doing that stuff big time as well. Got the model going every single day. Same channel over on the live tab, breaking down every baseball game every damn day. You know it, man. Football becomes such a nice and welcome break, but I like to keep my at least one hairy eyeball on the market so, we're not getting swept away. There are people who are really going nuts over fantasy, obviously, and I don't want to get left behind. Now, I'm on the turn, like I mentioned, and I've been really trying to leave with balance while also being diversifying, right? I want to be balanced on my team, but then I want to diversify between different teams. We want to have stands and go 10 toes down. But I found, because sometimes I adhere so closely to my own ranks, that you end up with the same team all the time, which is okay up to a certain point, right? We want our players, but particularly at the top of the board, you don't want one big injury to just tank the entire fucking operation here. So I try and open up my mind a little bit. I try and open my mind to different options. Just having done, I don't know, maybe 20 drafts so far, I'm not sure I've been happier than leaving with 1-1. Particularly on the ends, you can get left out in the cold, then you're kind of chasing the whole time, and that's always, a little bit of a problem. Again, you want to believe in ADP, like it's a thing, but it's also mostly determined by losers. And it's also a range, and also accounts for people on the edges. Like I mentioned before, you got to get who you want. You can't say, I'm not taking this person because it's not correct, according to ADP. That's not how you do this. Especially if you're on the end. If a person has an ADP that's before your next wrap, like firmly within the next wraparound, then it's technically not a reach. So I look at ADP as really a bit of a wide range, though it's more narrow at the top. You should never reach where an ADP is beyond your next pick. I think that goes without saying. Some people maybe a little too sharp for their own good. You should be playing ADP chicken up to a certain extent. You want your guys at cost. You don't want an entire team of people ahead of cost. one, it may be duped, right? You want to. I didn't put that right. Not that it's going to be duped. It's probably loser, I guess. It'll be unique, if anything, if you're the only person to be overpaying for every pick. But I think you're going to definitely be behind the eight ball, right? If you're not at least submitting to the wisdom of the crowd a little bit. I'm the first person to buck up against most people I think are fucking stupid. You know what I mean? But at the same token, thousands and thousands of these things are going on, and they land where they do for a reason. Again, if you're unfamiliar with best ball, the computer does all the work. You draft everything right here. You get what you get. You don't get upset. Underdog is 18 rounds. I generally think of the standard breakdown: 3 quarterback, 3 wideout, 3 running back, 3 tight end. 3, 6, 6, 3. Excuse me. 3 quarterback and tight end, 6 running back and wide receiver. Just to be clear. Now you can kind of play with the nipples a little bit. You could fucking adjust the tunage a little bit. Though I have found trying to save that extra roster spot, meaning it just happened. Someone took Josh Allen mid-third. If I take Josh Allen in the mid-third, I'm not sure I should be taking the third quarterback, right? You got to draft as if you're right. Plus, you have to understand the opportunity cost that you gave up taking quarterback so early. And I just haven't had any luck doing that in the past. It just never seems to work. Partly, the best quarterbacks doesn't necessarily mean they're the best every single week. As many top 5 weeks as you get from Josh Allen, who is that other quarterback? How well do they complement? And if you lose one or both for even a small piece of the season, will you be able to get into the playoffs, make some noise, or recover at all? And I think that's been like one of the big kind of hang-ups for me is, what do I got left over? So I went Cook and James London at the first. James Cook, Drake London at the first turn. Now, I'm not crazy about the backs on the second time around. So I know I want my guy, Ladd McConkey, looking for an improvement with the Chargers. They've, kind of bring back the good parts of the line that were hurt. They drafted another guy in the middle. Should be wheels up for that offense. Now, I've been hearing a lot of talk about Luther Burden. I've been going with Emeka Egbuka, but I want to do a little bit of diversification today. In the first pick that I skipped over because I was getting my streaming feet under me, I like Ken Walker, pretty much up there at the turn. However, I think it's the first time I've seen Cook fall to the second, even though technically it's the first pick in the second, but regardless, to fall to the turn, that I wanted to get a piece of that ass, I've also, like I mentioned, been taking Egbuka over Burden. But for right now, I think that's fine. I've got my sheets up here. It's a little bit of a pain in the balls for me to flip back and forth because of the way the tabs sit on Google Chrome. I'll show some of them. But I wanted to go over a little bit of how useful they are, even under these quick clocks. Again, you could sort everything, and I'll show it to you in a little bit. But all the advanced stuff and points on a per route, per play basis, which I think is, honestly, that I think is the leg up, trying to understand these players per snap under the lens of efficiency, because, and I think this is real shit. When it comes to doing your own projections, and I'm like in the industry, and I'm like supposedly smart. I'm neither one of those things. But I do understand that the people at the switches are mostly pretty fucking smart and are mostly extremely good with correlative properties. So that said, doesn't mean you can't do your own projections. It means the edge in doing them is in adjusting playing time, where most of the people that do this shit, whether it be Derek Carty or anyone else, that's the hardest part to nail down. Now, the secret in the sauce of projections is found in the projections themselves, where you can reduce the projections down to per target, per catch, per snap. depending how granular they get or what set of projections you're using. But my point being is then you can figure out those rates, just change that one, twist the one nipple, right? Just change the playing time stuff. And then you'll get an entirely new set of projections based on ones that are professionally done. So just a little quick lesson there on projections, how to use them, and where it's okay to adjust. We do the same thing in baseball. You don't want to be trying to improve Derek's math, but you can improve on the plate appearances. And in football, how many games somebody is going to miss, more or less, And it, not to say you can't touch the other stuff, but it should really only be minor. All that to say, there's a lot of smart people playing this shit. And you want to be, right, we mentioned wisdom of the crowd. You want to be within the group, but not like sticking out from the group. And sticking out in both directions. I got a good professional story for maybe some of the youngsters out there. In a second, my favorite fifth round pick didn't make it to me. I'm at the back of the fifth. That's Jadarian Price. I'm trying to draft him on basically every single team. Man, right now, like Bucky Irving is next up as far as running backs. I want at least one more running back. You hate to leave 5, 6 without the second running back, which puts a little pressure on the turn. Maybe I could have taken, you know what? I'm going to mark that up on my mental notes that if you're on the turn, be just the way the positions shake out, you could take 2 running backs and then go back with 2 wide receivers that you really like. So I'm going to go Judkins. He's the last of my tier. Then for me, it's like Chuba. And then there's a little bit of drop off. Judkins, volume guy, hurt at the end of the year. So I'm not crazy about that. I am going to try and come down with Dylan Sampson later on. And then I think I'm going to go with Christian Watson. So I was mentioning the tools. Now that I get a chance, right? So this is pretty much under the gun, right? Real time. You scroll over to the page. You could sort however you like. You could sort by obviously player name or team name. I have ADP. I usually leave my sheets up by opportunity, or let's call it fantasy points, by team, so you could scroll and find. Or if you're good with the filters, you could do that. These things are really kind of built for speed. So Christian Watson, only 132 fantasy points, but he missed a chunk of the season. That's why we want the rate stuff. Over 13 points a game, over a half a fantasy point per route, and over 1 3/4 fantasy points per target. Those are all really strong. He ended up with 55 targets, 35, 6, 11, and 6. So the volume stuff is not great, but you do get a lot of depth, and he's a target earner. 23% target per route, more than 2.5 yards per route, more than 17.5 yards per reception, almost 18 air yards per target, just under 100 air yards per game. 24% of the team air yards in the game now as football changes, right? More preventative stuff. Those guys that can actually win deep and get the big explosive receptions are fucking king. 1/3 of his targets were 20 air yards, 20% explosive play rate, So there's a lot to like for Watson. He didn't get a lot of work from the slot, but he actually did earn targets when there, right? I have slot stuff, got to have it. End zone target, so a half a end zone target per game, which is pretty good. Actually, I think it's a red zone target, that one. Again, any kind of hiccups I've leveled up the data game. Having the Claude bot and another year of this data stuff, really my first year last season. So I don't like to improve the stuff looking back. I take notes to improve them going forward. And we want to be looking for slot work for wideouts, because that's really the level up thing. That's what I like about Drake London so much. That's what we like about CeeDee Lamb so much. So a lot to like with Christian Watson, of course. They also moved on from Romeo Doubs. Should open up some just routes for Watson. I think he's in line with the injury behind him, to put together some kind of massive season. I mean, you're not really wish casting much here. We've seen it in action. Now, what's funny is, oh, shoot, I'm an idiot. I thought I could shrink my tab without affecting the display. I can't. I restored it. Again, I'm kind of living and learning a little bit here. My first year on YouTube doing any kind of football content. Press the like button. Cartoon fingers matter more than they should. Try to just do things a little bit differently. It's a lot of like, I don't know, I have fun. I mean, right? We're having fun. We're having fucking fun. Shout out to Go Tech Mobile. But a lot of the fantasy content has become a fucking joke. I get it. People are, I don't know, acting like a clown to get that circus money. I don't give a fuck about that. I'm going to do my thing. I'm going to do good work, strong work, have fun, data backed. Hopefully make some money and move on from there. I could give a shit less if anyone likes me or if people think I'm popular. I give a fuck less. Now, I noticed there's a big run of QBs around pick 70. Now, me in the mid 80s on the turn, I missed out on that. So I think I'm going to double tap it. I have McConkey, easy pair for Herbert. Wheels up, plus he runs. Great arm and all that shit. I wanted you, oh man, if I want to fill my other onesie, and I think I'm going to, even though I really wanted a second QB, my guy Fannin is out there, and I got to do it. I think Fannin has a chance to be like a top 5 tight end. And I could have went with Dart right there. He's not going to make it back. I'm going to need a good QB plan. I might even have to double tap on the next one. I mentioned at the top of the show, the standard is 3 QBs. You can get away with 2 if you have an elite one. I don't, so I need 3. I also think when you get 3, you want 3 of the fucking top, 18 or something, let's say. Quarterbacks drop off at the end. We've got a couple situations where there are question marks. Right, think about the QB situations that you really don't want anything to do with. Arizona would have to be one of them. Brissett is fighting. He has leverage. I might get paid. But how long does it last? They're fucking terrible. I mean, I guess they have talent surrounding them. But I wouldn't be surprised if you get back by the end of the year. Atlanta. Penix had the injury. I thought he's the starter, but now it looks like maybe Tua is the healthier option. Can Tua keep Penix away after the draft capital they spent on him? I don't know. I actually tend to think that's a good thing for the pass catchers. There's a little bit of insurance built in. Now, who is going to be better, right? Which QB is going to be better for what pass catching asset? That's yet to be seen. But it makes me feel a little bit safer with Drake London or even Kyle Pitts. Bijan, I think, is split proof, but you want a decent quarterback to at least threaten some verticality. Not sure if Tua does that, but anyway. Raiders, I've been drafting Mendoza as a third. I don't even know if he starts as the QB. So you need some security first. I don't think Cousins is washed. I don't think he's trash. I, at one point, thought maybe he's the quarterback. But maybe they're going to see if he can win. Like, if Kirk Cousins can win games with the talent that they have, why go away from him? Let the kid learn. You could move on from Cousins. I don't know, save his body. And then the converse also, right? If Cousins stinks and the Raiders are dropping games left and right, then you can make the move. But either way, you really can't rely on the quarterback situation. It's going to be tough. There's a couple of spots like that. Jets, Geno Smith is probably the one I feel, the latest quarterback, I should say, that I feel comfortable with. But a lot of moving parts, and you really want to secure those shot callers. Mahomes, Stafford went, Knicks and Goff. Maybe Dart makes it back. I'm like waiting with bated breath. I'm not holding my breath, but I sure am hoping. Brock Purdy's also there. I think he's a viable kind of QB. Maybe Jordan Love, because I have Christian Watson. I like that. Shuck or Mayfield. There's still a bunch. I got to make sure I get one of those. I've always had the eye for Dart because he runs. Dart went. So maybe I want a pair. Maybe I want Love. I don't normally think of him as like the big time fantasy QB sometimes. And I don't know. Running backs have like firmly already dried up. And I don't, it's weird. It's like an anti-zero RB. Like I got my RBs, I drafted as if I'm right, and I'll come back to the store later on. I've made that mistake in the past. Spending capital on running backs and backing them up way too many times. You can't get a million of them. You got to draft, again, like as if you're right. If you have Cook and Judkins, you're hoping you're pretty much spoken for at QB. Now, I need 2 guys. I don't have a pair Maybe I might go with Shuck. Okay, so I'm definitely gonna go Love to pair the Watson. He's locked in. Nobody good is gonna make it back. I mean, maybe like Willis makes it back. And man, maybe so then like I don't know. Oh, it's like a Jonathan Brooks. I'm trying to look for like a ceiling case running back. I've got Jonathan Brooks. People love this guy, and maybe either the Chuba thing doesn't work. We saw Chuba lose some work to Rico. Maybe he goes down. We're just looking for guys that have a ceiling scenario in there somewhere. I've not been the biggest Brooks guy. I've been an anti-Brooks guy, but I think maybe the price is fair. Again, they moved on from Dowdle, and they're singing his praises. The drum beats are going. So for right now, I'm trying to get myself into Brooks if you're outside the top 100 picks for a guy who could be the best running back in that offense that we hope is going to improve. Again, and when you're outside this point of the draft, there's going to be warts. So I don't really regret the pick. I got my tight end, and I think that's what I feel good about. I got my tight end 1, I got my QB 1, I got my QB 2. I think a lot of times in these drafts, you're never going to be fully satisfied, right? That's like not how this shit works. So big mix going on. A lot of picks I don't like at this point in the draft, and I guess that's a case for everybody. I think Michael Wilson is too expensive. Inside the 10th, he's never really shown that ceiling case scenario with Marvin Harrison on the field, and you're always sharing targets with McBride. Same for Matty Golden in Green Bay. We never really seen it. Could he take a step forward? Sure. But I still feel like you're paying for a guy that's got to, he should have done it already. Wonder if Jaden Reed can get any love in those 2 wide receiver sets. I think he's the better player. Just don't know if there's any kind of volume case there. I should have got into the running backs really quick. The backs that are going here, I'm like totally out on all of them. I was okay with Chris Rodriguez. There's word going on that he's banged up and not in OTAs right now. So if he's hurt, you should got to be pushing Tootin up, pushing Rodriguez down. The reason he was going in the 11th or whatever, or the 10th, is because there was a thought that maybe he, is stealing week 1 work. And I was the one saying I thought he was the end zone guy, right? The green zone guy, the tough yards guy. Again, sometimes they're empty calories, but an underdog where it's half point PPR, fuck, man, we want the touchdowns. We want the Jacksonville touchdowns. But I'm not inviting any fucking injuries. I do not draft guys that are hurt right now. I'm not interested in that shit. No, I do have to start thinking about my next pick. Man, I like Isaiah Likely. He just went. I was thinking about tight ends. People have gone really cold on Kincaid, but I still think he's a bit of a baller. Goddard went 2 picks away. Next guy doesn't have a tight end. I'm thinking I'm getting sniped. I've got Malik Willis queued up. I think he's the pick. Right now I like Kincaid and Willis. Ferguson goes, so I think I'm getting my guys. Before I do that, I always like to just double check that I'm not leaving anybody else that I love on the board, which is not the case. It starts to really dry up here. So, Kincaid, again, hold on, we'll do it in a second, plus Malik Willis. So let's look at Dalton Kincaid. Let's check the videotape on the pass catching sheet. Dalton Kincaid scored 126 points last year, just over 10 fantasy points per game, but over half a point per route and over 1 3/4 points per target, right? So this is a very efficient player. He battled with some lower body injuries, and you wonder if he's healthy, if it's just volume standing in the way. We don't need him to be an every route player. We just need a little bit more. Remember, he only played 37% of snaps, just about a third route participation because of the limitations. 49 targets, but he converted 49 targets into 39, 571 and 5, excuse me. Almost 50 receiving yards a game, 24% target per route, more than 2.8 yards per route, more than 6.5 yards after the catch per reception. Right, there's a lot to like here, a lot of explosive catches. He also works in the slot. 9 routes per game, almost 2.5 targets, almost 2 catches for over 22 yards. He scored 5 times. So again, there's just a little bit of the love that you get on the sheet, just really quick. Boom, 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 boom. And again, I'll be adding some stuff. I do think they're really effective. They get upped in season after every game for the fantasy crowd. So I keep stats running. We're also going to have projections, optimal 150s for the daily crowd. Plus, I do reception ladders for the bettors, fantasy waivers for the fantasy folk while we're doing baseball the entire time, all for fucking $2. Let's go. Sign up for the year and you get the last month for free. All the details are in the fucking description below. While you're down there, press the like button. Cartoon fingers matter way more than they should. There's also a abbreviated audio version of this podcast, Corked Stats feed on Spotify and Apple. Okay, so I'm not another 9 picks away. Again, these drafts just move so incredibly fast that you really want to have your eye on the prize. So my quarterbacks are complete. Herbert, Love, Malik Willis. I like that. Mix of running, mix of passing. I also have connections, right? Because I have Herbert to McConkey. I've got Love to Watson. I think that's important. Now I think it's probably time to maybe stack get a little bit of running back depth if I can. Right now I have James Cook, Quinshon Judkins, and Jonathan Brooks. It's like, okay. By ADP, next guys are Woody Marks, Tajay Spears, Zach Charbonnet, Brian Robinson. It's all very clear backups. I like Tyler Algier a lot. I think he makes the case that the Chris Rodriguez thing. I think he's the end zone guy right away. He could, I'm not saying talent-wise. When I say he could be better, right? You got to remember, being an NFL player, it's not just pure talent. It's a fucking massive amount of skill and studying and preparation and understanding that goes into this. So I think Tyler Algier is a better NFL football player than what's his name, Jeremiah Love on day one, right? On day one, he knows where to fucking stand. So I'm taking Algier if he makes it back to me. I'm going to be upset if he gets fucking sniped. And you know what? Then I'm going to have to go. I have to jump ADP a little bit, like I was mentioning before. No big fucking deal. To get my guy Dylan Sampson. The Browns are probably doing quite a bit of running. I think they both have some abilities. We've seen Sampson catch the ball and handle a volume role. And I think Algier steps into a role if something happens to... Did I see Jeremiah Love? Jeremiah Love, okay. I was thinking Jadarian Price. No, that's Seattle. Okay, no, I didn't say that. He's the guy I have on every... I mean, this is one of the first times I haven't drafted Price. I think that's one of the biggest underprices on the entire board. Seattle moves away from Ken Walker, and Charbonnet had the very late injury. Like, didn't it happen in the playoffs? This fucking guy's not still... Again, I'm off injuries. I'm done with that shit. I'm done with the injury optimism. I'm done with that. And the other one, too, that this happens all the fucking time. There is this thing going on where people talk about players getting, like, healthier in the season. I am now getting away from that. To me, you don't get healthier in the season. You get more fucked up during the season, right? Again, the injuries are going to find us. You're going to have injuries, IRs, all types of bullshit to deal with. Don't invite them. There's no need to bring it on your team. The one place that I'll kind of counter or self-contradict is, all right, if you're getting a massive discount on an injury guy, can you name one? I can think of one, George Kittle. Where a guy's hurt, but you're not paying the premium for it. To me, that's like a completely different story. Kittle he went just recently. Where did this MFer go? All right, he actually went a little bit earlier than I thought. He went mid-11, but still, this is a guy who had, been the tight end 3 and going very early in drafts for so many years. Aaron Rodgers goes, Fernando Mendoza. I think there's some love with Mendoza, but we saw Ward collapse. And he may bounce back this year. Again, NFL is fucking hard. So I've made sure, again, when I don't have Josh Allen or Lamar to just make sure that I have 3 really viable QB1s. Again, I've done the luxury pick, the premium pick on the onesie, shorten those positions down to 2 players. I've taken zeros and been unsatisfied. Like a young man in for a quickie. I feel so unsatisfied. So for me, it's really all about balance. This shit is about roster construction and then being right. But if you don't build it correctly, even if the picks are correct, you're probably going to be in trouble. So recap my end. I'm 10 picks away on the 15-16 turn. This draft's almost over. Thanks for hanging along with me. Herbert, Love, and Willis feeling good. Cook and Judkins, but Judkins plus Sampson. Then Jonathan Brooks, Tyler Algier. Listen, running back is a little short. I'm going to keep building into it. These are also the teams that I handcuff sometimes because I don't feel great about it, meaning I really can't afford to lose Cook or the Bills running back, I should say, for even fucking 2 weeks. And we saw Ray Davis take over a full load. So I'm hoping that he falls back to me. I think he's still out there. Yeah, it would be a massive overpay for someone else to take him. I may pay it. He's in a fucking dead spot ADP wise because his number comes up right like 4 picks before my turn, which is just the worst place it could be. Right? Because he ain't making it back. He ain't making it back. That shit is not happening. So I either have to say goodbye to Ray Davis or suck it up and pay the fucking price here. Now, I was also hoping for Dulcich on that wrap. Him too. He's in that same spot. Man, the 2 guys that I want are massive overpays where I need them. I don't think either makes it back, and I think I'm going to fucking grab him anyway. I'm not crazy about the other picks on the board regardless. I don't love these guys. Maybe I've been drafting some Emmett Johnson in this place, but, I really like Walker. I don't think he's going to get a lot of love. We need Walker to go down. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to overpay to get the pairings that I want. If you have Willis, I think the one good pair, especially at the price, is Dulcich. And again, I have what's his face? James Cook. Yeah, I'm gonna fucking overpay. It is what it is. I know I'm going to like the build better. I could have gotten away from Davis. If anyone is kind of arguing that point, you're saying that you should draft like you're right, but then you took your running back up. I'll eat that. I'm a pussy. I'll take that. I'll take that one in the chin. The Dulcich one I think I like because that's the pair that I really wanted. As much as I like Fannin, I still waited till pick 95 to take a tight end. I know the position is consolidated, but if you have a guy that you think Dulcich could legit be the number 1 target on that team. Right, he's explosive. We know Willis runs. You could get some like RPO, play breakdown, high probability underneath looks. That I think that's what you're going to get. I don't think they're going to be very good in structure. Talking about the Dolphins, I think that might be a little bit of a mess. In which case, we like the running quarterback, and then we like the tight end in that spot. So Davis is the pick I'm like meh on, but it's because I pushed running back and. Again, no one really knows the answer, right? If Cook goes down and Davis is awesome, it was smart. And if not, it was stupid. And if, the guy I passed on, Emmett Johnson, was the winning pick, then, sayonara, you're a fucking loser, bitch. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's frustrating.
Frustrating.
The bubbles.
Frustrating.
The bubbles are frustrating, yo. All right, 12 picks away, my last 2 picks, and that's it. We're out of here. I got 3 QBs. I got 3 tight ends, so we know they're wrapped. I got my 6 running backs. We know they're wrapped. So I'm going to go with just stacking wide receivers, guys I think could be good. I mean, if Chris Bell makes it, I could take a shot on him. We do have the Willis thing going on. I like Adonai Mitchell for the Jets. I think he might be better than Omar Cooper right now. I like Torrey Horton on the Seahawks. I think he could be okay. Maybe Christian Kirk late on the 49ers, right? Just some kind of underneath love. No, I had like the demon fucking galaxy brain going on. Giants went out and signed Braxton Berrios, Juju Smith-Schuster, and fucking Odell Beckham. Now, I don't even think most of these guys are going to make it to opening day. However, the one name that's interesting. Let me know if you're picking up what I'm putting down here. Is Braxton Berrios interesting? He played for Houston last year. He only played a handful of snaps. He only earned a handful of targets. 19% target per route, though. Right? And very good against man. Super high EPA versus man out of the slot. And that's where I wanted to go. Why? Giants move away from Wan'Dale Robinson. He had 140 targets. I'm going to gal brain this one. And I'm adding Braxton Berrios into the back end. Man, I liked Bell, Mitchell, and Berrios. Maybe I'm not going to take, I almost got Emmett Johnson, but I didn't want another running back. Man, I kind of want to gamble on Bell, right third rounder. Miami's in need of a pass catcher. I think he's going to get playing time. And then, man, I like Mitchell on the Jets, but I don't have. I think I am going to go with Mitchell, right? Former first rounder. We saw him ball out. Gino likes to throw the deep ball, so that's where I'm going to go. I'll save my Torrey Horton and Braxton Berrios stuff for another time. All right, that's the end of the draft. Hang on one quick second. And these are the sheets that I was mentioning, some of the tools that you got. This is behind the scenes on the Substacker. You could say I had Wandale highlighted. But Wandale's a perfect example. Let's take a look at Wandale. I moved him over to Tennessee. But everything that a growing fantasy adult needs, right? ADP, fantasy points, points per game, point per route, point per target, all the usage stuff, snap rate, total route per dropback, route per game. The totals, targets, receptions, of course, but per game stuff, target, reception, receiving yards, target per route, yard per route, all the stuff I was quoting. Team target, team air, if they're out wide, if they're in the slot, EPA versus man in zone, explosive rush stuff, end zone stuff, slot stuff, catch rate, first down per catch rate, and then outside stuff plus games played. And I'm going to add some more. I've got Whopper coming up this year and just some cool stuff. I'm always adding to it. Same for all the other positions. I'll just scroll through it really quick. And then we'll get out of here in a second. Running backs, all the same stuff. I think it's important, man. Success rate, EPA, stacked boxes. Again, I don't know anyone else giving this away for as cheap as I've got it. Of course, same thing for quarterbacks. The player stuff will be time split when we get into the season. Then I've got all the team level stuff, which I think is the best in the business. Because again, I'm more of a better than a seasoned fantasy long player. I'm always so fucking busy. I've got baseball. I've got the family. It's hard for me to keep up on fantasy football season long. I'd rather play a couple of leagues for a lot of money that I put focus into than trying to split my attention where I could volume the shit out of best ball and I don't have to manage the fucking crap. Again, the team level stuff, I'm very proud of this. I mean, clock at snap, we've got good rate stats, yards per game, net yard, success rate, EPA per play, all the drive efficiency, time of possession, first downs per drive, points per drive, scoring success, rushing stuff, yards before and after contact, success, explosive rushes, 20-yard rushes, pass rate, just everything, right? And again, if you can think of a stat I don't have, I just add it. That's why these fucking sheets are so good, because they're not just built by me, they're built by other fucking total degenerates. Again, our community is small, but it's fucking fierce, man. We're 300 for a reason. It ain't madness, baby.
This is Sparta!
Damn right, yo.
What is your profession?
That's how we fucking roll. Give the book nothing. Take from that fucking bitch everything, yo. Same on the defensive side. I forgot to mention all the pressure stats. That's really important, too. But we have that for defense, of course. All the same stuff. Plus, opposer passer rating. When you're looking to face guys, all the rush stuff. I have a really good defensive pressure section. Splash plays, tackle success is huge. Snaps per splash play, hits, sacks, blitz, pressure, sack conversion. All the slot defensive stuff, EPA and man. 2 high rates, 3-4 nickel and defensive alignments. Cover 1, cover 2, cover 3, cover 6. What do we got? Fantasy points allowed to each position. Everything ranked and rated. You're looking for that when you're doing your weekly streaming stuff. All the shit you could ask for. And then the fantasy ranks. I've got DraftKings and I've got Underdog. Both are color-coded. Both are uploadable. And both just have basic statistics, right? Points per game, attempts. And because I wanted stuff that translated for all the positions. These all change in real time. I update the ADP every couple days using the Underdog site because I think it's the most liquid. That's going to transfer into all your sites. When I make changes, you get changes. Pretty much as easy as it can be. This thing, again, is built for fucking speed. I try and work half as fast as I talk. All right, that'll do it, yo. Thanks for, again, picking up what I'm putting down. Appreciate it. Checking out Corked Stats. Trying to make my way into the foosball industry. So press the like button and subscribe. There's a bunch of fantasy football content. I did a round 1 and round 2 review. And then we've probably done, 5 or 6 streamed best ball drafts. the one DraftKings one I did was actually audio only. So there's some Underdog content. And then if you're into baseball, you've come to the right place. So that'll do it. Enjoy the games, enjoy the day. When we done with the book, enjoy the pay. And remember, when you work this freaking hard, man, the winning feels a lot less like luck, yo. Peace out.